All right, everybody. Here's what we got going today. Optimizing performance with Dr. Avellino. Perfect guy to have talking about optimizing performance and tactics and strategies and how we do optimize our performance as athletes, as people, as living. With Dr. Avellino being a ultra marathon, he'll talk about his ultra marathon experiences, being a pediatric neurosurgeon and standing on his feet while he's in the operating room as a surgeon. So taking care of his hands and his body. And he was just talking about posture. So all of these things are going to be part of the show. And Tony and I are going to start to weave this into more of a optimizing performance thread for the radio program, because I can't think of a better guy to have on as a guest. I mean, Tony's been on the show 8 times, and
8 times. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we haven't started we haven't started the radio show recording, everybody. So this is all pre-show video recording, but this is going to be a really fun segue, and we kind of based it around what the hell's the name of that book again? Sandy, what's the name of that book again? Forever Strong. Sandy, Forever Strong. Gabrielle. No, that's okay. Gabrielle Lyon. Okay.
Oh, Lyon. You're right. Yeah.
Don Layman was my guy. I'll tell you what, I'm cutting up that video right now, talking to the camera and Tony.
Right.
For Dr. Layman's episode, everybody. You're going to want to check that episode out because he's the protein expert from University of Illinois, and he was Gabrielle Lyon, Dr. Lyon's mentor.
Oh, you're right. Okay, got it.
Taught her everything about protein. He had her as an undergrad.
Got it. Okay.
They've worked together a lot over there. The book is dedicated to him. And so, I mean, that's how tight they are. They're super, super tight. He says best friend. She said best friend. I've heard her say that on video, which is really, really awesome because we like to do this transfer of knowledge thing. So I'm going to let Sandy come up here with that tea before I start recording the audio portion of this. And Tony's got, as you guys see the video, Tony's got new audio equipment and it sounds badass. I'm so happy that he did this because he's so good. His knowledge is so good. And Mitch, our producer's like, Tony's so awesome, but we got to get his audio better. Thank you, honey. All right. Yeah. So I'm drinking herbal tea. I'm coffee free.
So let me ask you. So is that tea with?
No, it's decaf. It's not caffeinated.
It is. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not doing any caffeine at all.
Wow.
I'm not going to do any. Zero. I mean, I looked at. I did some.
Yeah.
Well, I did some YouTube and Tony, and I read some articles on it, and it's just like, okay, I get it. All of these little things at this point for me and the rest of my life, it's like, again, I drove the party bus when I was drinking. I drove the party bus with the coffee wagon. So it's like, I'm done with that too. It's okay. It's fine. My daughter was shocked. I told her today was my 1 week anniversary. And she was like, you got to be kidding me, Dad. All right. Here we go, brother.
Let's go, Tom.
Let's do it, brother. Just lean into your mic and let's let it rip. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us on audio, on video, on however you're picking this thing up. I'm just thrilled to be here and be alive. And I am exactly 1 week, as I record this, 1 week caffeine, coffee free. And we'll talk about that another time, but just keep that in mind. And it's all going good. It's looking good. Tom's feeling great. Last week, Craig Stiles was back to do his year in review, 2023 year in review, financial fitness, Craig. And he did his 2024 prognostication with the election coming. So the financial markets, again, I'm just so happy that I don't have to deal with any of that, those decision-making. Craig handles all, as you guys all know, Craig's our financial fitness expert, and he handles all of our retirement zone savings. So that's all good. And so I don't even sweat that stuff. I watch the little bit of news and all that kind of, we focus on what we can control. And what you can control is exactly what we're going to talk about today with my guest for his 8th visit. Can't believe it. Dr. Anthony Avellino, star pediatric neurosurgeon. Let me get his bio. His bio is so long. I don't even, if I wanted to take the whole hour and just read about he's been around. He was at OSF Healthcare, Illinois. He was assistant provost student wellness at Michigan State University for quite a while. That's where we met years ago. Former NCAA student athlete at Cornell. So he knows all about competition. He knows all about performance. He knows all about neurological factors because he is a pediatric neurosurgeon. So I think he knows a little bit about the brain and brain health. I would think, and I would certainly hope that this guy knows a little bit about brain health. Do you think? I mean, board certified in neurological surgery by the American Board of Neurological Surgery and board certified in pediatric neurological surgery. That's got to be the hardest job in the world. I swear to God. Earned a Master of Business Administration degree from George Washington University. I guess I didn't realize that Tony had an MBA as well. I mean, I love talking to smart people. Talking to smart people just makes me smarter. I just milk their brains. So let's milk Tony's brain. We're going to call this one Optimizing Performance, Mind, Body, Spirit. I'll explain to you where we got the topic from and the idea from with all of this, because we're doing more and more of these episodes to help people improve their quality of life. That's what we do here, and we're going to do more and more of this type of stuff. I want to welcome back to the radio program my very, very good friend, one of my best friends, Dr. Anthony Avellino. Tony, what's happening, brother?
Tom, it's really great to be here. I must say that you do some incredible work, and I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you, my friend. It's good to see you. And it's like, I knew that when we first off, we wanted to test your new equipment because our producer, to tell everybody a little backstory, my producer, Mitch Anderson, who's a king, he loves Tony, and he really wanted Tony to upgrade his audio. And we really want to bring you, the listeners, the viewers, the best audio that we can possibly bring you. And Tony's content, all of our guests have great content. But with Tony's office studio that he has in Arizona, it gets a little, echoey, and Mitch wanted him. So Mitch helped him get some equipment, and now it's like, boom, here we go. We're testing it, but this is a perfect time to build around this optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit. But before we get into how we came to this topic and all of this, everybody, how we do this show. We know we're a family show. We're all about family. This is your life. I want to let my guest, my doc friend, talk about his fam, get warmed up. Tony, please go right ahead. Talk about, Michael and Jen and Ashley
Sure.
and how everybody's doing. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, my wife is doing great. We finally moved our big horse here, and so having Jen have a horse is great, because for her is optimizing my wife's performance is taking care of the horse. It's I would say that she is the most happiest in the barn, and it really connects her soul. And sound cliche, but a happy wife is a happy home. Having a nice horse here, and in fact, the horse barn is only less than 1 mile from our home. And so it gives Jen the opportunity. But my daughter is finishing her last year at Arizona State U, and I'm very pleased. And Jen and I and many others are very excited. She'll be a freshman at the at Arizona State University Law School, and my son is a sophomore, and he's doing really well. I would say that visiting the Midwest a few times over the last few months has been great, because I would say that Jen and I never realized how hot it is here. And living in Arizona in June, July, and August has been very, very hot. And it was nice to visit Lansing and see the trees and the rain and such. So, but you are doing amazing stuff, Tom, and having your audience learn from you because everyone has their own story. And as you and I have spoken, you have to listen, you have to learn, and you have to heal. And what I mean by that is listening. My story is not unique, but everyone has their own story. But it's how you can connect with your story, how you learn from it. And I often say is you can learn, but you have to heal too. And I often say is learning and healing are are not the same. But
Well, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that one, brother. No doubt about it. I mean, yeah. And you didn't really give Michael, I mean, Michael, both your children are outstanding adults, but Michael, and nothing against Ashley, of course, she's a wonderful young woman too. The guy is incredibly, I mean, I've interviewed him, I've talked to him. He's brilliant. I mean, he's like he's going to be the next tech guru giant. My word. If you can get him to finish college,
exactly, yeah,
kind of like a Zuckerberg guy, right? Isn't he?
yeah. Who? Uh, no, but for me, as an alumni of Cornell, and him going there, it's very, very cool. In that this year, a few of the courses that I took 39 years ago, um, you know, it's a very surreal experience at times.
Isn't he living in the same residence hall that
Yeah,
you did?
yeah. In fact, he lived in the same hall, and it's the same furniture, the same bathrooms. It's amazing how things haven't changed. But
Okay, let me take this through the break here, reset this thing, Tony, because I got about a minute to go before we go to break. I'll reset everything. All right, so here's the plan, everybody. Dr. Tony Avellino is with us today. We're talking about optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit, listen, learn, heal. Tony, if you're going to find out that he's more than a pediatric neurosurgeon. He is an elite athlete. He was a college football player. And so he has been an athlete his whole life. And to be an ultra marathoner takes a special type of person who I'm just kind of amazed by the whole journey with all of that. But we're going to talk about this because we're framing this around the Forever Strong book. I interviewed Dr. Don Layman recently, the protein expert, and that you can get that podcast on our website. He is the mentor to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who wrote Forever Strong. And Tony watched a video, and I said, "Can we pull some things together to make this thing happen?" And he said, "Absolutely." And that's where we're going with this episode. So again, optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit. Dr. Anthony Avellino. I'm Tom Matt, and this is the Tom Matt Show. Fucking cake. We can swear during breaks because nobody's, it's only on video.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's fun. Okay. Let me get my read going here. We'll get rolling. My Craig read. Glad to get this. God, I'm so glad you did that with Mitch. So awesome. Here we go. This segment is sponsored by Craig Styles, Ameriprise Financial. Full disclosure, as I like to say, we have all of our retirement zone savings with Craig. Ameriprise Financial Advisor Kingpin can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future, just like he's doing for us, just like he's done for a lot of people that I've turned on to Craig at Ameriprise from Michigan State University. A lot of people listen to this radio program since we're syndicated all over the state of Michigan. And if you're out of the area, Ameriprise is they're a huge company. So if you need to get some advice from Craig and get somebody local that you want to deal with, he can still help you. You can just call him 1-800-528-1355, 1-800-528-1355. 517-483-4893. If you ever wonder about Craig, he is our financial fitness guru. He's been on the show 20 plus times. You can go to our website, tommattshow.com, and you can pick up some of those older podcasts. They're all different topics, different, you may have different questions. The question may be answered for you on some of those podcasts. So use that as a resource, because that's what we want to do here. We are a resource to all of our listeners and all of our friends, and we appreciate everyone. Craig's offices are located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road. Suite B is in Brilliant, Lansing, Michigan 48912. With the right financial advisor like a Craig, life can be brilliant. Some of the stations that are carrying our show have carried us, will carried us in the past, because syndicated radio is really crazy, and it's all good. WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, Michigan, always first out of the chute, because they're the first ever to carry us on broadcast radio on the lake shore of Lake Michigan. Love Grand Haven. You got to get to Grand Haven. Grand Haven's the bomb. WJAM 1240 AM in Lansing, the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network. Thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber for helping us stay on the Michigan Talk Network. WJRW 1340 AM Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon, Whitehall, WYPV FM 94.5 in Mackinac City. Stations all over the place. And if I don't mention your call letters, stations that are located all over the state, because there's 40, 50 stations in the Michigan Talk Network, send us a note to the website, contact box. I'll be happy to put you on the list here, and we can read your call letters. And lastly, I want to say I'm so proud to be on WKAR News Talk AM 870 at Michigan State University, our PBS affiliate, 102.3 FM and AM 870, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Sundays, just cranking that bad boy out. Once again, thank Craig Stiles for coming up with the algorithm, his proprietary algorithm, Decideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. And lastly, remember, we have 4 books on that thing called Amazon. Please check it out and have fun with that. Every little bit helps us stay afloat, and we want to stay afloat. Okay, today, Dr. Anthony Avellino is my guest, my buddy, real good buddy, great friend. Stayed at his house last winter with his beautiful wife, Jen. It was fun. It was just a fantastic time in North Scottsdale. Optimizing performance, mind, body, and spirit. Tony, you're a pediatric neurosurgeon. And when I threw this topic to you from the Forever Strong Dr. Lyon YouTube clip, Dr. Lehman and Dr. Don Lehman, who I interviewed recently, what was your feeling about what she's talking about with strength training and optimizing health and wellness? What was your initial reaction to that link that I sent to you to check out for this episode?
Yeah, the biggest take-home message for me was people have to move. Meaning it's because now with all the internet, and I think the social media, I think people are more apt to have a sedentary lifestyle. And back when we were being raised, is not having the social media gave us the opportunity to be outside, play sports, stickball, soccer, but also it gave us it gave us the tools to develop some soft skills. How you read someone, how you communicate with someone, but most importantly is how you connect with the heart.
What do you mean by that, Tony? Connect with the heart?
Yeah, is I often say that in this world we're so divided, and I think people have to put aside their differences and connect at the heart. I often say that we need more compassion and love, but having the ability to develop friendships keeps one grounded. And I think part of someone's emotional well-being is having good friends that you can bounce ideas off, that friends that can give you feedback,
like I do with you sometimes.
Which is very, very important. Yeah. No, because in order for someone to get better, you have to give that frank feedback. And
Would you let me ask you a question there, my
yeah,
friend. Would you qualify my feedback is frank?
yes, it's actually very frank, Tom. It's no, because I would say that the reason why we're such good friends is because we have the ability to put down our guard, to talk freely, and really tell each other what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
And because having this emotional well-being is being surrounded by people that build you up, uh, and uh, and and the whole social media uh, is really it's going to be interesting to see how the next 10 to 15 years go. It's because social media and AI is actually going to get bigger, and it's going to be interesting how people navigate that.
Well, again, this gets back to our what we're talking about, what the whole premise of this and this new series of episodes that we're going to do with you, because this is the first series with Dr. Avellino that we want to do on optimizing performance. I might even start a new category on the radio program with Dr. Avellino just to get him back in, because we need more and more of this. And what Tony just said is spot on. Tony, got about 30 seconds before we go to break. Where do you think you want to take this thing? I have your notes in front of me, but you tell me, give the listeners kind of a quick snapshot of what you want to talk about coming back from break.
Yeah, I would say that the performance equation that I use, skill minus interference, is actually really important, because I think in order for someone to perform at their highest level, you if you're an elite scholar, elite athlete, elite whatever field you can do, you can have all the skill in the world, but if you can't block out your interference, whatever that interference is, if you're not mentally prepared, if you're not mentally well, if you're not happy and satisfied, if you're not doing purposeful work, if you're not in healthy relationships, if you're not showing compassion toward yourself, it's important. You're not going to perform at that highest level.
All right,
So I
hold that
think,
thought. We'll come back and we'll talk more about being strong as well and physically fit and moving. And we're going to weave in the Forever Strong book with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. My guest today is Dr. Anthony Avellino. Optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit. It's all one package. I'm Tom Matt, and this is the Tom Matt Show.
cool.
Totally cool. So good. Feel good?
Yeah.
Sound great. Your level's awesome.
No, it
Here
is
we
good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Rock this bad boy. The simplest way to connect with our radio program and us specifically is through our website, tommattshow.com, where you'll find a completely redesigned page that thing gets updated constantly. Every week we make changes because we have new podcasts going up there and you can easily navigate. There's always new video content up there now because there are tiles on the show, on that website for the show, that take you to whatever we posted on YouTube or on TikTok. And all of those videos, especially my hashtag dad talks, which have become kind of popular and getting more and more. And I'm getting better at my skill set again, practicing, practice. That's all good. And so, but just be forewarned, I get salty on my hashtag dad talks. That's the point. It's like Tony was just saying, my guest today, Dr. Avellino, Tony Avellino, was saying, I get frank. When I coach people, I have one philosophy. I don't change my philosophy whatsoever. It's one way. That's it. And so when you watch those hashtag dad talks, you can get them. You can contact us on Instagram, whatever social media works for you. Instagram, Facebook, all of it. TikTok, we're on all of them. Not so much on Twitter, a little bit on Twitter, get more on Twitter or X or whatever you call it now. It's all good. Our mission is to build an engaged society and team. That's always been the dream of what I've wanted to do with our content, with our books, with our radio program, audio, and now with the video content. It's all about community collaboration and cooperation, the 3 C's of sharing stories and ideas. Having people like a Dr. Anthony Avellino, we're developing this whole new concept and topic for the radio program, Optimizing Performance with Dr. Avellino. This is going to be big. This is going to be huge because he is a pediatric neurosurgeon. He is an elite athlete as far as a performance goes. He was a college athlete, and he is, again, pediatric neurosurgeon. Tony, you were talking about some good things about the performance equation, but let's let everybody know a little bit before we get into the equation and kind of baking in Dr. Gabrielle Lyon's Forever Strong book and the strength and why strength is so important. It's so critical to understand you because, like you said earlier, everybody's different, right? Everybody's different. So you're an ultra marathon, which I still, no offense, bro, but you being an ultra marathon and a pediatric neurosurgeon and going out on the ship, the Bering Sea. And I mean, your life is like the craziest thing I've ever experienced. I'm so happy we're friends, but how do you do it? I mean, it's like, explain to everybody about the ultra marathon thing. How do you train for things like
that? So for me, is in order to do my craft better, learning from what other people do. And I often say that my ultra running makes me a better friend, better father, better spouse, better worker. Because I often ask people, do they do one thing every week that brings them joy? Because I would say as you go through the journey of life, having a purpose, having meaning, and having a passion, and you have to do something to have your body recharge. And for me, the ultra running is when I'm at peace, and just connecting with the land, connecting with my soul, to actually go out in the mountains, seeing nature, has the ability just to clear your mind and recharge.
All right, let me stop you there because first I want you to kind of explain what an ultra marathon is, and
Sure.
then I would say, as a trainer, I would say you recharge when you're doing this ultra marathon. And go ahead, you tell the story about what an ultra marathon is, and then use that as a reach. I get what you're saying, but maybe some of the listeners don't know what ultra marathoning is. What exactly is it?
So an ultra marathon is anything longer than 26.2 miles. So it's a 30-mile race, a 50-mile race, 100-mile races. And I would say that over the last 5 years is a lot of the elite ultra marathons are really pushing themselves to having 150-mile races.
Oh.
And it really gets back to being physically fit is one thing, but having a healthy brain, healthy mind, being strong mentally is actually really important too.
Yeah, when you're training hard and you're working out, you get into that zone. And like what Tony's talking about with his peace,
Yeah.
he goes into his, I get the same thing when I'm at the gym and I'm doing my thing and I got my music jamming. And if you're thinking about this Forever Strong, as we're building around this topic, whatever is your thing with the movement, right, Tony? I mean, how important is that to individuals' brain health? I mean, the physical fitness. What have you seen as a neurosurgeon? You know the brain better than anybody.
Yeah.
Is there anything bad about being physically active for your brain?
No, but one of the most significant things that I ever done is when I was at the University of Washington, developing a memory and brain wellness center. Because as you know, Tom, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, as people age longer, neurodegenerative diseases are, big deal. And I often say every 4 seconds a new case of dementia. But the reason why I use dementia care, because the most significant thing that has been proven and found, that exercise is the most important thing that you can do, because it actually, um, as someone ages, as someone develops sort of dementia, exercise is one of the things that is shown that helps prevent that.
When you're talking about how to be elite from your notes, you have several things, and we're going to come up on break here. So set this up where we're going to go with this, because we haven't talked about the performance equation. We'll bake that into when we come out of break
Sure.
too. But the how to be elite and to train the body works with the performance equation. Please set that up. You got 30 seconds, and then we'll go to break, and we'll come back and we'll jump right into it.
So if we use the performance equation, it really leads to how one can be elite. It's really around three things: it's how you train your body, how you train your craft, and how you train your mind.
When you work with things like this, and through Tony's notes, train your body, nutrition, sleep, physical, muscle strength training, that's where the feedback from Dr. Lyon in her book Forever Strong, and learning from Don Layman, Dr. Don Layman, who is he's the premier protein expert in this country. Building muscle is becoming more and more vital for people to understand. It's not just the cardio, it's the strength training that goes along with the cardio. It's all about that. When we come back as well, I want to ask Tony about being a surgeon in his craft. How physically demanding is his career, is his job? Because everybody's job has some type of physical demand. You may sit too much and have a physical demand, or you may stand and do your job like Tony. And we'll talk about all of that, because all of these things, as Tony has already said, everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. You need to pick and choose what works for you. You need to find your nutrition. We'll talk about this with the nutrition, sleep, physical, muscle strength training coming from Tony's notes. It's going to be greatness. Stick around. We're going to talk about all of this. Again, my guest today, Dr. Anthony Avellino, optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit. We'll talk about the performance equation and nutrition, sleep, physical, muscle strength training when we come back. This is the Tom Matt Show. Boom. And we're already into segment 4.
Oh, wow. It's quick.
2 more to go. So I'm going to throw it right back to you. After I do this read for Brock, I'll throw it right back to you. Get back into the performance optimization number 2. And then you can go through your number 1 if you'd like to. Sure. We can talk about that in the 5th segment. But I think in this segment, let's focus on number 2.
Sure.
With your and I'm just going to throw it to you and let you roll with it as soon as I get done with Brock's read. Okay. Here we go. Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams. Again, full disclosure, we utilize Brock's services, both selling Big House Holt, buying Little House Lansing. Thank you to Mike Dedman. He's the man. But Brock Fletcher he's the captain of that team over there at Keller Williams, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. It's all about trust, everybody. It's all about being able to lean on these guys, grab information, especially nowadays, and go to the website, tommattshow.com, and look for Reality of Real Estate. Brock is our subject matter expert there. There's many shows, just like with Craig, Brock. There's many different shows. We're going to start a new one with optimizing performance with Dr. Avellino here. I think, anyways, that's how we want you guys to be able to search the website so you can find the information that you need quickly without any hassles, just like they do with selling your home. Brock wants to help you sell your home without hassles, just like he did for us. And when we bought Little House Lansing, everything came together. He hit his number exactly as he said. It was perfect. It was so greatness. Numbers coming at you here. 517-853-6408. That's the office. Or 517, this is the important one, everybody, 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262 is Brock's cell phone. Give him a text. He will respond. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. That helps him do, a little bit of back channel marketing. So he knows that he's getting bang for his buck here, but he knows that anyways. Or you go to his website, kwsellingteam.com. And also want to remind you that at the bottom of our homepage at tommattshow.com are the banners for our guys. So that's below where you find our 12 topics and all the little cartoons there that are on our website. So you can sort through all of that. Go down to the bottom of that website, the homepage, right below where all of those topics are our sponsors and our friends. But first comes first, it's our sponsors, because they support us and they help us get our business done. All right, just like today's episode, so important for people to understand where we're coming from with this, this guests like a Dr. Anthony Avellino. These people don't just fall off the tree. I mean, we need to nurture these relationships. Tony and I have become friends we've been friends now for years, and we're good buddies. And I help coach Tony through some stuff. He knows that when he calls me for some advice, he knows he's going to get the straight story. I mean, I don't play. And anybody needs any help out there on some performance coaching or life skills, any of those, that kind of, just hit me up. Tony, getting back to where we were at with the performance equation, let's run through performance optimization, performance, mind, body, spirit from your notes, and just let you riff on this, because you're the expert. You're the neurosurgeon. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So if you look at all the things that I do, from being a nurse in the operating room to my ultra running to being on a crab boat, a central theme is really having your ability to increase your muscle strength is really important, because what your muscle strength does, it builds up your core, it builds up your proprioception, it builds up your balance, and it's really about having everything in balance. And as you said from your previous guest, that building your muscle mass is actually really important. But for me is regardless of what skill or what job you actually do, is I would say is training your body, training your craft, and training your mind is actually really important, because in order for you to perform at that highest level, having that intersection between those three things being balanced is actually really important. And what I mean by that is, when you're training your body, is how you eat, how you sleep, how you muscle train. Because I often say, anytime you can build up your core balance, that strengthens, your back muscles. And I would argue that sleep is one of the most important things that you can do. I cannot overemphasize that. But then two is how you train your craft. And what I mean by that is, any work of life, any job that you do, acquiring knowledge for you to get better is actually important. And then last thing is how you train your mind. And it's a lot harder said than done, because I often say, as you go through the journey of life, staying in the present moment and not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. And it's a lot harder. But I can't emphasize enough that being present for your family, for your job, and not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but giving it your all in the present is actually really important.
Perception is everything. And as Dr. Avellino was just saying, being present is hugely impacted by the perception. or your presence impacts the perception. They go back and forth. And so having what Tony's talked about with nutrition, sleep, physical, muscle strength training, Tony, I wonder about your give everybody a little snapshot of a day in the operating room for Dr. Avellino and what it's like. I mean, we talked about a little bit pre-show, but the fatigue
Sure.
factor you go into, what is that like?
Yeah. Is in the operating room, it really gets back to that equation: performance equals skill minus interference. And what I mean by that, because I know that my biggest mistakes that I've made over the last 30 years in the operating room, I had all the skill in the world, but I was not blocking out my interference. My beeper was going off, my cell phone was going off, and that gets back to what you said, Tom. Being present, being focused and in the zone, and being present is actually really important. But for me, is being a pediatric neurosurgeon is a uh, unbelievably privileged to help a child and their family go from wellness to illness back to uh, and uh, and some of the operations we do on kids, especially the brain tumors, are long. And when you're staying in the operating room under a microscope, using small instruments for 6, 7, 8 hours, is having that muscle strength and core is really important. Because I often say is I teach my residents that you want to always stay in alignment. What I mean by that is, as long as you're in the 90-degree plane and not sort of arching over and looking and bending and twisting, at the end of the day, it hurts, but you should be fine. Uh, you know, but being physically fit and blocking out that interference is actually really important.
And that's critical. It's critical. I'm going to carry this through, Tony, because we're coming up on break here. Let me reset this, everybody. This is great information because you're getting a snapshot of a world-renowned pediatric neurosurgeon and how he works for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours on children and tiny kids. And they're obviously their tiny little heads and staying in tune, staying in alignment, staying in a high performing, keeping your level up for that long takes everything. It takes all of your physical fitness. It takes all of your muscle strength. It takes all of everything Tony's talked about. It's so important to understand here. Again, we come back, we're going to talk a little more about health and wellness and some tips from Dr. Avellino. He's talked about his ultra marathoning, which can be over 100 miles through the mountains. He's talked about playing a little bit of football in college. He's talked about his posture and form and back strength and core strength. He said, get better 2 or 3 times now. I say that on my videos all the time. What we got to do, everybody, is we just got to get better every day, a little bit better. It's that we do not want to regress, especially as we grow older. I'm learning this myself at this point in my life. It's like need to get better because the regression can happen so quickly as you grow older that it's so much harder to regain where you are now. That's why you have to protect yourself, and you're way better off staying in shape and getting in shape and slowly maximizing your potential. As Dr. Avellino has talked about, health, wellness, and performance. Maximizing performance is key. Optimizing performance, mind, body, and spirit. Dr. Anthony Avellino. I'm Tom Matt, and this is the Tom Matt Show. Easy. Cake. Love it. Here we go. You want to plug your book, and this is plug spot, Tony. You want to anything you want to share, email, phone numbers, book, all of that. I'm going to right to you out of break, and then we'll go right into is there any other thing you wanted to cover on number 2, or do you want to go right to number 1 with the health and wellness? What do you feel like?
Yeah. Why don't we go to number 1?
Okay. and
Yeah.
let you, because I think
Yeah.
that
Which is fine.
what you wind up, what people need to understand is the pre-diabetes and the diabetes, which goes directly to chronic disease. I mean, this obesity issue is a huge issue, huge problem. But the muscle gaining more muscle and being stronger, just getting stronger is the key to wellness. Just get stronger, because it'll help fight off that obesity. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. This is a bonus segment of the Tom Matt Show, carried on several of our radio stations, but always on the podcast. I want to throw the plug sign to my friend, Dr. Avellino. Tony Avellino is with me today, talking about optimizing performance, mind, body, spirit. Tony, how would you like people to connect with you? Talk about your book, share if you want to do some speaking engagements. How do people connect with Dr. Avellino?
Yeah. So my email is avellino37@gmail.com. My website is avellinofindingpurpose.com. But, it's, I often say that having the ability to show my vulnerability in writing my book and really telling my story, I often say is I can affect more lives telling my story about listening, learning, and healing. And one of the things that I end in my book is my wife and I came up with a um, with a with something called TACTICS. And I often say is that if you understand your tactics, and what tactics stands for is T is take time for yourself and lead a peaceful life. Um, because finding meaning, finding purpose, finding joy, doing one thing every week that you enjoy to do is really important. The A in tactics is always eat healthy, exercise, and sleep. And I would argue that sleep is one of the most important things that you can do. C is continually self-improve and remain. And as Tom says, Tom is a great coach, and having the ability to have a friend or a colleague that can coach you get to that next level is actually really important. The T in tactics is treasure family and friends, because we're human beings are social beings, and having the ability to connect at the heart with friends and colleagues is actually really important. The I is I choose the day I have, and I would say that that's one of the most important things that you can say, because I would encourage everyone tomorrow morning when you wake up, promise me you're going to say is I choose the day that I'm going to have. Because if you wake up angry with your dog, your spouse, and everything's bad, then you actually a whole day is shot. So you get to choose the type of day you have. No one else can do that. The last C is control disappointments, because as you go through the journey of life, we fail. But it's how you rebound, how you get better, and as Tom, as you said, how you continuously improve. And one of my mentors always used to say is, you have to learn one thing every day. And if you learn one little thing every day, that's a really great day. And then the S is you have to smile and laugh, because I would say humor, smiling, laughing at yourself is a very powerful thing.
Excellent. So great. All right. So let's talk about health and wellness, because on your outline, you had wellness, illness, wellness. And what I want to talk about along there with the second point was the chronic disease leading into all of these other illnesses. Please talk about that, because that'll fill up the rest of the show, Tony. Between wellness, illness, wellness, and the chronic disease, we just have an epidemic occurring in our country. When you have 50% of the American population that do not exercise whatsoever, for those of you out there that are in that 50%, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just saying I want to invite you to think about going to the other 50% of people who do. You're not alone. There are a lot of people who do not. You're not the only person. You don't feel guilty because you don't put enough time into it, or what, however you want to put it in your head, the perception in your head. Tony, please talk about that, because people need to understand that they're not alone when it comes to this. We're here to help you think about and become better. So please talk about wellness, illness, wellness, and then the chronic disease epidemic in our country.
Yeah. For me, is being a physician is an incredible opportunity because you can really help someone from that wellness stage to develop an illness and then go back to wellness. And as you said, Tom, is chronic disease in the world is getting bigger and bigger. Obesity rates, cardiovascular disease, diabetes care, and also Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and and how you can become healthier or train your body, train your craft, train your body, your mind, to sort of eliminate some of the chronic diseases is actually really important. But one way to do that, as we have said throughout the show, is increasing your muscle mass, getting stronger. That ultimately leads to increasing your core strength, increasing your proprioception, increasing your balance, and all that will decrease cancer rates, decrease obesity rates. And as we go from the sedentary lifestyle to a more active lifestyle, and I'm not saying that you have to do extreme exercise like me or but having that ability to move and get a little stronger. It's not about increasing massive bulk. It's really about moving and toning up and getting a little bit stronger, so your body has the elasticity to respond to the stresses.
What's happening with the next point on your, and well said, Tony. Thank you for saying that. But with the foods, hyper palatable foods, that's a really interesting word. Can you talk about that a little bit, and how this is like leading us astray? Because all of these genetically designed, scientifically designed that are out there, I mean, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, is Tom, with the inflation rate so high and food, is having the ability to buy fruits and vegetables and healthy foods is getting harder and harder and harder. And sometimes it's a lot easier to get the high salt, high hamburger, high French fry foods, but but human nature likes sugar. And so how someone could sort of eliminate some of that sugar, or what you're doing, eliminate some of that caffeine intake too, is because all these foods will increase your insulin levels, will increase your stress hormone levels, and all that increases the amount of inflammation. And anytime you can decrease the amount of inflammation in your body, and one of the ways to do it is just move,
Right.
exercise and strength
Well, and also
building
you
and such.
have the microbiome on here. I mean, people need to understand more about the microbiome, Tony, and that
Yep.
feeds it, because the microbiome, from what I've learned, you have approximately 5 pounds of bacteria in your body, in your gut, and you have the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. All these hyper palatable foods, these high sugar foods, they are the prime food source for bad bacteria in your microbiome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, as I remember a lecture that you and I gave, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7 years ago. You mentioned in your lecture that you need to do 4 things, right? And one of them was move and poop, and the third and fourth one,
Eat, sleep,
yeah,
poop, move.
yeah, yeah,
ESPN,
yeah,
baby.
yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
for
That's
remembering
what it
that,
was. Yeah,
Tony.
yeah, yeah. So what is it, Tom? Again? So eat,
Eat,
sleep,
sleep, poop, move.
move,
ESPN.
move. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And which is true. I mean, in order to optimize your performance and be your best self, is exactly what you are, because uh, all the sugar and all the help, lead to GI problems, diabetes problems, obesity problems. But is I think the most important thing that you're doing with your show is raising awareness, because a lot of people don't know, and any time that you can increase awareness, is actually really important.
Tony, I need a 30-second takeaway, and then we're going to close the show. What would you like your 30-second takeaway to be?
Yeah. So my 30-second takeaway would be, it's remember to stay in the present, be positive, uh, have people that can coach you and tell you what you need to know in a frank way. But it's I would say that in the world now, is having compassion and love is one of the most important things.
Perfect. Thank you, Tony. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests, like a Dr. Avellino Kingpin. Sponsorships are available. You have to hit our vetting, but we'll talk about that. Give us a note, tommattshow.com. Go to the contact box. We're there to help you. If you missed any portion of this show, podcasts are available at tommattshow.com. Like to close the show every episode with this little reminder, this little quote. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. To optimize your performance of mind, body, and spirit, you have to love yourself first. That's the key. You have to think about that. Loving yourself is a duty that you have to you and your family. Thanks to Dr. Anthony Avellino, my friend Tony. We're going to start doing more of this optimizing performance with Dr. Avellino. He's a great resource for us. He's a great resource for our guests and for our listeners. Sandy Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Good day now, everybody. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson. Tom Matt Show's production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for listening. We are out.
All right, Tom. Great.
Good one, brother. Really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
And I think this optimizing performance
Yeah.
with Dr. Avellino is,
Cool.
is a
Yeah.
great, it's
which is
great.
good.
It's just fun, man. You can come up with all kinds of different, as you run across things, topics,
Sure. Well,
because these little bit of notes here, all we need is like 4 bullets.
yeah. I know something small.
Another optimized performance thing, or something that you heard, or something that's new out there. Because so much of the science is changing, and it's like they used to say, don't lock your knee when you're doing a leg extension on the leg extension machine. But now they say, no, you want to lock your. All of this stuff changes. I mean, it's like the food pyramid, that the Department of Agriculture put out. Complete horseshit. I mean, it's like total bull crap. It all changes. It always changes. That's the whole thing about. I like this optimizing performance thing with you, and I think it'd be fun. Gives us a huge berth to record episodes.
Yeah. I would say, Tom, is one of the most powerful things that your show does is raise an awareness. It's really given some insight, giving the listeners something to ruminate on, something to think about. Is because I often say that if I knew 30 years ago, I would be a lot more at peace. But the question is, would I?
Right.
But I think hearing these shows or listening to people may have given me the opportunity to pause.
Yep.
Is because one of the future shows, Tom, we should do something about the pause.
The pause.
Yeah, the pause.
I like it.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is as you're going through life, you're always climbing.
Yep.
And so So how someone can take a pause, and I'm a big proponent. I often tell people that if you can pause for 15 minutes every month just to sort of level set, and similarly to what you actually did, is you paused, you lost weight, and you decided that caffeine is not good. But I mean, is if you were working and going through life, you'd be climbing,
Yep.
and you would not have the opportunity to sort of just think and pause.
Yep. Yep.
So
You
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to
We could do something about the pause.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
We could do something like that.
optimizing performance with Dr. Avellino could be its own subject's own topic, and pause and different ways of pausing, through exercise, through meditation, through sleep, through all of these. Yeah, I could see that being
Yeah,
massive.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Wouldn't that be
so
kind of cool? Sleep,
it'd be really fun. The thing about doing stuff like
meditation,
this, Tony, is
exercise.
as you do the research and you start kind of having some, we go through some brainstorming, it makes us better because
I agree.
we're thinking about this, and as we're teaching people and doing this, all we're really doing on radio is teaching. We're just sharing and teaching.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
at this point in our lives, it's the thing about, like you said, if you'd have known 30 years ago, but the thing is you don't have the 30 years of experience and wisdom that you have now. And the 30 years of wisdom, you can't replace that. I mean, if I go back 30 years, back to when I was 34 years old, I was a fucking mess. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but I had all the bad habits. I was still
Oh,
drinking.
sure, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Crazy, right? Yeah. No,
Crazy.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Like, I'm so grateful to be alive. And it's like, now I reflect back on that. And it's like, now when I work with people, like I have several people I'm working with right now who are, and that the craziest thing is, like, I have this young woman I'm working with right now. She's 25,
Okay.
and I recorded a Zoom session with her. We had a few phone calls before. Then I recorded a Zoom session, went 2 hours. I watched the whole Zoom session. That was
Wow.
September. Now you fast forward to this week when we're talking about things, you would not believe the difference in this young woman's whole outlook on life, her personality. She's much more focused. I mean, it's unbelievable how people can go from the depths to climbing back, like you say, climbing back up, and slowly, because it's easy to get knocked down on the ladder. It's really easy to get the shit kicked. It's really easy to get the ladder knocked out from underneath you. Something happens. And that's where the resiliency comes in. And pause builds into resiliency. And
Right.
resiliency
Yeah.
could be a whole nother topic too, Tony. I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
build resiliency. Well, here's a bunch of different ideas. And that's all we do, is just throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah,
That's it.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So give Luana a call.
Try
And
well.
she just texted me. I'm hooking her up. I'm gonna actually have lunch with her tomorrow. And she's gonna be doing some advising for a friend at MSU, from my old department, who needs some assistance,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
that we could pull it together. So hey,
S- So, ha-
everybody's trying to help each other.
yeah, and so have you heard anything about
The president?
when? Yeah,
No, not a word.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
Not,
Yeah,
out of my realm right now. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I hope they get somebody good. I know through the grapevine, you've told me things, and I've heard little things from Roy and Luana, and it's like, hey, I'm just, I look at things in the micromanaging kind of thought process of, glad we got a football win last weekend.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No, but Tom, I I hope I hope they get someone that could heal.
Yeah,
It's because right now it's sort of a shit show.
yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
have to admit. I mean, it's just awful. I mean, it's the same bullying,
Well,
same
but
shit. I
the
mean,
thing is, Tony,
yeah,
the people in the know, like you and I, see, we know for a fact that Luana is still pulling strings behind the scenes. People, all of them, she has meetings every week with Kaufman. She's meeting with Norm. She's meeting with all these Izzo. She's meeting with all these people that are high fucking rollers out there are. And I'm gonna have to edit all this out because I just realized
Mm.
I'm recording
Oh,
this.
oh,
That's okay.
okay. You got it.
You know,
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'll just chop the end off of the video, but yeah, she's behind the scenes doing all of this stuff. And so it's all good. Make myself a note, make sure I edit.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right. Well,
Oh.
Tom, and so,
So when are you calling her today?
yeah.
Give her a call.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
she just texted me, so she must be available. So,
Okay.
I'd love to hear what happens on that whole thing. So,
Sure.
but
Okay.
good luck. I
All
mean,
right.
when she said that, I was really happy to hear her say that, because I knew it was kind of how she is. She doesn't ask she's not a small talk kind of person. She's like, if she says something, there's meaning behind the question.
Mhm.
She says, have you talked to Tony? I said, yeah, I talk to Tony all the time. And she said, that's when she said the thing about the call. And I'm like, you want me to tell him that? Because I asked her that, because we're that close. I said, you want me to tell him that? She said, yes. I said, great, I will do that.
Good.
I don't want to take something and misrepresent what my friends say, because they're like family to us. I mean, Roy and Luann are like family. And so I'm going to be straight with her and say, you want me to say that you said that? Yes. That's why she said that. That's exactly why. So, good for you. Good luck. I hope it works out.
Yeah, I
And,
will. Good. All right.
if I could,
Well,
me,
I know.
you know what? You're going to get the fucking job. Stop. So stop the if
I know.
thing.
I know, but it's gotta, but yeah. So please tell Sandy, Jen, and I said hi.
I will. And
Okay,
your
all right,
microphone
no problem.
sounds fantastic,
Yeah.
dude.
Okay. All
When
right.
you
No
do
problem.
your Zoom
All right,
calls
Tom.
now,
Thanks a bunch.
if you have when you do your Zooms from now on,
Yeah.
keep that mic right where you have it right there, and you sound fantastic.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
It'll help.
All right.
It'll help you in more ways than one. All right,
Okay.
brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Tom. All right.
brother.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ben. See you. Bye.